Hello again, it's me, that guy with the YouTube channel, and today we're doing another review because today is the 15th of May, and you know what that means? That it's the 15th of May. That's what it means. Good night, everybody. No, what it actually means is that today marks the 1 year anniversary of my first figure review, and seeing as I have no idea when I started my channel, we're gonna go off that instead. Of course, as you remember what that was, it was this, the Chogokin Death Trigger Gigan. That's what we are re-reviewing today because that review was a steaming shit pile and it was like 22 minutes long, had horrible camera quality, and you could barely hear what I was saying. So before we get on to the figure, here's the box. It's backwards because it's cool like that. And even all this time later, this whole year later, it still won't fit into frame. Turning it sideways, you can see there's a bunch of pictures, 2 pictures of the figure, picture of the drawing, shiny foil sticker marking when the DVD came out with the silhouette of the Sakai Godzilla, a 2005 licensing sticker. Side of the box, it's got power-up type. It says in there English power-up type. Back we got all the cool stuff on the side right there. And at the bottom it says Soul of Chogokin GD76N Gigan 2005 Death Trigger version. Yeah, we'll get more into the history because, like, the week after I did my first review of this guy, I found out more about it. So yeah, let's just get on to detail here. If we can focus. Well, actually, yeah, that's pretty good. So as you can see, detail is very good. He's got all the textures. He's got metallic red. The sculpt of the Chogokin Gigan isn't particularly good proportion-wise, but for the little details like this, it is very good. Kind of looks like tubing with wires over it. His kneecaps look nice, with all the spikes and stuff on them. And they're very nice glossy red. This figure is absolutely beautiful. And for the black, it's actually a navy blue with the black over it, which kind of makes it shine a little more. You know, not just because it's glossy. Yeah, see, it's very nice. And he's a little barrel-chested and wide-hipped, but you wouldn't buy this figure for posability and just accuracy. You would really more buy it for the paint job, which it is kick-ass. Because this is, like, the best thing ever. There we go. Yeah, his head looks very nice. His visor is kind of a violet color. One thing that is inaccurate, because this paint job is based off something, is these spikes right here are black. Whereas if I bring in the drawing, they are red. So his nipple spikes need to be red. I did not think I would ever say that. Shoulder pads make him look really broad, kind of like football shoulder pads, but whatever. You know, it doesn't bother me all that much. We got all that there. His neck spikes are kind of bent, sadly. It was like that out of the box. His elbow spikes, you can see they bend backwards, which they are actually supposed to bend backwards. They're not supposed to be straight, because both of mine are like that. And all the others I've seen are like that. And there's a trick if they come bent to the side of what to do, which I will get to in articulation. As you can see, the detail on his tail looks very nice. I'm not going to make that pun, which I think I did in this review, the first version of it. As you can see, it's very nice. Tip of his tail looks a little overkill compared to the Showa Gigan, which I forgot to bring in for comparisons. Oh well. I can see his wings are very nice. They're that same violet color. And his claws as well are very nice. And as you can see, they're not popped in all the way. But as you can see, like that, they do not need to be popped in all the way. And they are a pain in the ass to take off if you pop them in all the way. So I would suggest just kind of halfway popping them on. So yeah, that's it for detail, which is very nice. For articulation, it's kind of eh. His neck can move forward and backward a little bit. Like that. His mouth opens and closes just a tiny bit. Head does not look side to side. Ball jointed shoulders. I can move around and everything like whoa, or something like that. Pardon me for a second while I adjust this camera here. Yeah, he is not completely in frame. I do not know why. Anyways, hinge in the elbows, swivel at the upper part of the elbows, swivel at the claws, which, as you can see, they work perfectly fine when they're half popped in. A swivel at the elbow spikes, as you can see, which is kind of a neat way to solve the problem. If they come bent to the side, just take them and rotate them backwards like that, and there you go. Now they're the way they should be. Nothing in the waist, obviously. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nice, clicky, ratcheted hips, which move in and out. They can also move forward a little bit and backward a lot more. And I would suggest not moving these hips past the first click, because this part right here goes underneath this plastic part, and I don't know if you can see that very well. Let me focus it here. As you can see, it is kind of scuffed up the paint a little bit, so I would not suggest moving them any further than that. There's a swivel in the upper part of the knee and a click in the lower part of the knee. They only get one click though, sadly. Ball jointed feet, I would suggest being careful with these as well, because the ball is die cast and the socket is die cast, so it's a metal on metal contact, which tends to wear away a little easier than plastic on plastic. Anyways, tail is ball jointed here, 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 and here. Not a very wide range. You do have to put it in. I am not going to demonstrate that, because after I made the first review of this guy, one of the little peg things snapped off, and now he's a little bit broken, which is very, very depressing. Not depressing, but you get the idea. Wings, the outer ones are hinged. They move in and out, and the middle one moves down, and as you can see, is spring-loaded, which is kind of weird, but if you move it down slowly, it stays in place, but just move it down like that, spring-loaded. And there's a little notch, actually. I don't really know if you can't actually see it in there, but if you push the wing into that notch, it kind of locks it into place, which is a bit weird. So articulation is alright, but could be better. Before we get on to sizing, accessories aplenty. So first of all, he comes with, where is it? His flying mode head and his flying mode neck piece. The difference between this and this neck piece is that this spike right here is slightly more flat than it is. Actually, I'll just take it off here. A lot of people say these are the same thing. They are not. This has a slightly more bent back spike, and this is completely flat, and that's not just because mine is bent like that. So yeah, and you would get the idea. You take this off, and then you take the head off. You switch them. For the sake of time, I'm not going to. With the flying head, you can open the mouth all the way. What we will switch out is his heads for power mode. So as you can see, he has a really long straight horn in his mandibles, and his motherfucking dual chainsaws. And they have screws on one side, which are black, which is kind of a shame. The standard version has silver screws. This has black screws. The prototype on the box had red screws. Anyways, so what you want to do to get his head on is you take this piece here, squeeze it a little bit, and then fit it over his neck. You want to squeeze it so it can get in between the shoulder pads. You take the head, just put that on, and then put that on, and then you put in the chainsaws. Like so, and there you go. Power-up type Gigan. That's accessories out of the way. Now on to sizing. Let's hope this doesn't take up a very vast majority of the video like the first version of this review did. I don't have Final Wars Godzilla, so here's the closest thing I have. A Millennium Godzilla. Godzilla 2000 is the Sakai version, which, well, I mean, kind of works for Final Wars, but yeah. As you can see, he's a short son of a bitch compared to Gigan. This figure is like 7 or 8 inches tall, so yeah. This figure's in its own kind of limbo of sizing, where there's no figures it sizes with, other than Chogokin's. It's not 8-inch, it's not 6-inch. See, that's kind of weird. Haven't seen this in a while, now have we? Yeah, I'm only pulling this out because this is the only other Final Wars monster I have. Here is my somewhat destroyed Gotengo. I would say this is about accurate. Here is a standard SH Monster Arts Godzilla, which I would assume this is actually not very accurate, but this is just to show you what he looks like next to a very standard figure. I forgot to pull out NECA Godzilla 2014. You can just imagine how big this figure is, but I have the next best thing. Woo. Here is our Lord and Savior Woo. Woo. Now on to the final part of the review, history of the figure and pricing, which is going to be somewhat lengthy, so I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible. This figure was originally released in 2004 as the Chogokin Gigan. I do not know what the GD number on it was, but it was your standard Final Wars Gigan paint job. It was kind of a flat, glossy blue with kind of a flat, like the silver on his mouth and mandibles. Nothing really that special. Then you had two other releases. This, what you're looking at here, which was made, well, we'll get to this one last, but there was also a Toys Dream Project version, which was metallic blue with slightly lighter silver parts. And then you had this, which was made to commemorate the release of Godzilla Final Wars on DVD. And this is not a concept color like everyone thinks. This is a recoloring of the original design, recolored by the man who designed Gigan for the movie. So what you are seeing on the back is a final concept sketch, but it has been recolored by the guy who obviously designed Gigan for the movie. I do not know that man's name. And there's also a marmot of this. And for rarity, the Chogokin, the standard Chogokin you can usually find for, like, I've seen it go up to $70 or $80 on eBay. It's not too bad. This one I would say is second rarest. I've seen it get up to $100 sometimes. And the Toys Dream Project is rarest. It's very uncommon and a lot more expensive than the other two. This guy used to be the most expensive, though. And for a rating, I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10 just because this paint job is so fucking beautiful. So as I always say, Shamama Jamo, it means I accidentally ate the whole thing.